What is up, everybody? I hope you're doing well. Today we are checking out the Poly Effects Josh Smith Flat 5, or I guess Flat V, but I'm guessing Flat 5 is what's meant there. This is a really cool, really dynamic gain box. And if you don't know who Josh Smith is, look him up. He's just an absolutely fabulous guitar player. He's a blues cat because that's what he plays the most, but Josh can play anything he wants. And this pedal is a reflection of that because it is crazy versatile. So let's get right into it. What is it? As I mentioned, it's a gain box, really. And I remember when I first got it out of the box, I was trying to figure out, like, well, how do it know it's a gain box? Yeah, because there's no knobs, there's no potentiometers on there. There's just a couple switches and then what just looks like some sort of like a light display. But it is absolutely a gain box, and it sounds killer. And the way you manipulate the controls on it is basically treating a lot of it like it's a slider or a fader. So you can touch on any one of these settings and treat it like a fader and manipulate them that way. And we'll get into it in the demo. But okay, it's a two-sided pedal. The A side is actually transistor based, and it allows you to choose between 4 different diode options. So you've got Schottky, you've got silicon, you've got germanium, and then you've also got LED clipping options. Now that's all that's happening on that side of the pedal is those transistor-based clipping options. They all sound great. We'll get into how that sounds in the demo. On the other side of the pedal, that's more of an amp style circuit. And they're basically employing, not basically, they are employing JFET to kind of emulate or replace, true like valves in an amp. And it sounds really good. It's really dynamic. It does really great kind of stacked gain sounds. We'll get into that because you can stack A into B or B into A. We'll get into how that sounds in the demo. Now, what makes this pedal unique is in the way the tone stack works. It's not your typical tone stack where it's like a bass and a treb or something like that. In this case, you have a high pass and a low pass. We'll get into how that sounds, but that's a way more kind of tweakable way to approach, crafting or sculpting your tone. Not only can you manipulate high pass and low pass, but you can also manipulate the resonant frequencies within high pass and low pass. So you can make this thing sound super synthy or resonant. There's all kinds of things you can do with it and how it dials. So I'll try to move quickly. There's so much on this pedal. So on the top of the pedal, if you look at it, you see these 4 kind of sliders, right? So you've got high pass, volume, gain, and low pass. And then there's a switch here in the center, which is the AB, which allows you to change directions. Now, below that is a secondary set of functions that you can employ, and that's the resonant frequencies on both sides, the high Q and the low Q, but it also allows you to get into changing the sensitivity of envelope filtering, but that sense control also controls the LFO. We'll get into that in just a second. And there's a speed control as well, secondary, which allows you to change the speed of the LFO. So that being said, you have some waveforms that you can choose between, which are really great, or I should say wave shapes. And it kind of gets into, there's a lot here, but in the wave shapes, basically you're going to get sine, square, triangle, and then of course on the bottom it's an envelope follower. Follower. I'm an envelope follower. That's for sure. So you can manipulate, you can basically turn this into like a dirt box with like a tremolo or maybe even more of a kind of univibe type thing. But because you can manipulate things to such a degree, you can have it sound like super tweaky, almost synthy, depending on how you dial the pedal. Now, one other thing it allows you to do is within these presets, there's a signature button. So that's right in the center. If you tap that, it allows you to toggle between 2 different sets of controls. And when I first looked at it, I thought, well, man, that would be really cool within each preset because you can have up to 36 presets on this. I thought, well, man, within each preset, if you can toggle between 2 sets of controls, you could do that via MIDI because this is fully MIDI capable. Anything I do on this pedal can be done via MIDI, which is really cool. But I thought, man, that's great. Maybe you could heel toe or have some sort of, switch on your MIDI device, it allows you to toggle between. But not only, I'm hoping you can do that, but what it does allow you to do is when you start employing the LFO stuff, it allows you to actually blend between the two. And I'll get into that just briefly in the demo. But that's kind of it. Now, of course, you know, you've got your A and B foot switches. Your MIDI is on the front there, and that's the mini MIDIs. This takes a 9-volt negative center. The only thing I will say is it does require 500 milliamps. It likes to have that amount, and it makes sense because of the capabilities of the pedal, and of course the ins and outs are on top, which I always appreciate. So yeah, without further ado, let's just dig into this thing. And like I said, I'm not going to be able to cover everything this pedal does, but I'm going to just kind of run through it, let you guys hear it, and then yeah, let me know what you think of it. Okay, let's check out some sounds. Here's just the guitar into the amp. I've got the amp dialed to break up just a little bit. We'll start with the A side of the pedal. The first diode you're going to hear, because that's the only thing that's really happening on that side of the pedal, is the 4 different clipping options. So I'll go ahead and turn that on now. Okay, cool. So this is, to me, like the signature Josh Smith sound. It's just really open. It's that kind of always on sound. And what we're hearing is that Schottky diode there at the top. Just really open. That particular diode feels really good. But while I'm on this side of the channel, or the pedal, the only thing you can really change is the diodes. So right now we're on the Schottky. I'll go from that to the germanium. Little less output, definitely not as kind of spread out and wide, but germanium sounds so great in the way that it clips and also the way it stacks. We'll go from that to the silicon. That one's a little bit bigger. And then from that to the LED. Now the LED, when I hit that, especially with a humbucker, the way it kind of saturates is certainly different than any of the other clipping options. I've not always been an LED fan, but I'm slowly becoming one. I just think it's it's, you know, for me, once again, it's open and kind of big sounding, but I mean, it's, you know, it's to each his own. And then back to that, the Schottky up there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is we'll shut that off and we'll go to the other side of the pedal, which is the JFET style, almost kind of a, you know, amp in a box. I don't want to call it that, so let's not call it that, but it's JFET. So I'll shut that off and I'll turn on the other side of the pedal. Okay, so you can hear there's quite a bit of gain on tap there. There's a little bit of noise floor, but it doesn't bug me. As long as it sounds great, I don't get that concerned about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the gain, as you can see, moving the gain. Put the gain about right there, and then I'll add the A side to this, so you can get an idea of how it stacks with those clipping options. So right now we're running the B side into the A side. So for me, that Shockey's got a little too much low end. I gravitate now towards the germanium. Everything opens up, it's not taking up too much room. So what I was doing is going back and forth. So now you're hearing the germanium into the other side. So A into B as opposed to B into A. And I'm just doing that by hitting the switch down there. I prefer pretty much on all these things B into A. Now when you get to the LED side, or I should say the LED clipping with this is where it almost becomes more of kind of a fuzz thing. Dug the way that sounded. I used a setting similar to that for some of those solos, and also the way I used the pedal for the rhythm tracks was literally just that Schottky diode, and then Tele on the right, and that Zemaitis on the other side, or I think it was Tele on the left, Zemaitis on the right. But I didn't touch anything. I just plugged in two different guitars, didn't touch anything on the amp. And went for it. And then the rest of the sounds were definitely channel A and B together, almost always B feeding into A. Now there's an interesting setting on this pedal, or function, that allows you to switch between two different settings. Here, let me put it back to, let's go here. Let me tune really quick. Okay, I'm still not in tune, but it's better than it was. Okay, so what I was talking about was switching between, by touching this signature button, you can choose between two different settings in the same preset. Sometimes the pedal goes into sleep mode, so you have to wake it back up. So now, check it out, I'm switching between two different settings in the same patch. That's really cool. Now, that's not the only reason it's there, but what went through my head is because this is MIDI, could you, via a controller number or even maybe heel toe thing, within every single preset, because you have up to 36, but could you toggle between the two within the preset? That would be really cool. Now, I think the reason that is actually there, I don't think I know, is because when you start getting into these LFO settings, you can basically blend between those two settings. So while we're on that subject, we've gone through the gain. I think you guys get a good idea of what's going on. You know what I should do really quick is just let you hear the low pass and high pass. I mean, it's super powerful. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Start cutting top end. I mean, it just makes it so dialable. And I'm normally like a bass mid-treb dude, but this is really cool. So now I want to take just a little bit of low out of that. Right there. So that's how that works. Now you can get into resonance within those frequencies by hitting the secondary control. So you can see high Q, sense, and then you've got speed and low Q. What we're really looking at is just the frequency resonance. So that's the resonance on that side. And then here's resonance on the other side. I mean, you can get it like really almost like synthy sounding. And then if you want to go back to the other settings, just tap on the main settings, which are the, you know, gain and volume, high and low pass, and you're back. So that's how all that works. I talked about switching back and forth. Now let's try getting into, and I'm not going to do all of this stuff, but let's get into the LFO. So I'm going to turn that on. Pretty subtle right now. I'm just going to try and just dial it in. So to change, you know, depth and things like that, which is what I want to do, I'm going to go to the other settings. And then on this other side is speed. Okay, so what is happening right now is I am actually blending between these two different channels now. So you can see it changing, and you can see what's going on within the channels. I got the volume up way too much. Let's fix that really quick. So now you can get in and you can get crazy, especially when you start using the resonant frequencies and things like that. You can really kind of make it sound like all kinds of things, from straight ahead trem to maybe even like a univibe type thing to stuff that's just really tweaky. And then of course you want a different waveform. That one's a little less kind of smooth, a little less sine wave, obviously. And then you can get into square wave. So I just turn the depth down there. And the envelope setting is really cool too. You can do almost kind of auto-wah style stuff. I won't dive into that because I don't want to get the demo too long. There's so much to this pedal. But at the end of the day, at least for me, this is a really, really great sounding gain box with just tons of options. Super dialable. It's so cool that it's actually completely analog signal path, but still allows you to store and save and presets and take advantage of MIDI. It's just a really well thought out pedal. Yeah, it can be a little bit quirky at first, but once I got used to just kind of navigating it, it's really pretty easy to sort out. Okay, cool. I know I haven't covered everything that this thing can do, but I hope you have a good idea about how it sounds. If you've got any further questions, obviously go to the Poly website, dig into it. Loki is a mad scientist genius, so you can check more things out there. But as always, I really appreciate you guys watching, and we will see you next time.